welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about 10 things that they don't tell you about married life. I haven't been married for that long. I've been married for 2 years now, but there are definitely some things that I've realized over the span of the past 2 years that either no one told me or that I wasn't prepared for, and so I thought it would be really fun to share them with you. So let's jump right into it. So the first thing is, if you've been living with your partner beforehand, chances are things won't feel completely different after the wedding. Now, I was always told that, oh, you're gonna feel so different, it's gonna be so different, and maybe that is true if you haven't been living with your partner or spouse. However, my husband and I were living together for about a year and a half before we got married, and after we got married, I was really surprised at how similar things felt. Like the day-to-day life stuff was exactly the same, and I kind of took that as a good thing. I thought, oh wow, like I didn't realize that things were just going to feel so normal. The only thing that's different is now we're husband and wife, but I must say, I actually really loved that. I loved that everything still felt exactly the same, that we still loved living together, thank goodness, and that nothing really changed. Number 2 is that you're probably going to want to look forward to something after your wedding. Now, no one really talks to you about after the wedding. They do talk to you about your marriage and preparing for your marriage and not just preparing for your wedding, but no one really kind of tells you that after your wedding, after like all the excitement and the anticipation, that once you get back from your honeymoon, things are gonna feel a little bizarre. You're not planning anything anymore. Your like brain isn't like totally consumed by your wedding, by the planning process. And for me at least, I just kind of felt, I didn't feel sad that that was over. I was actually really happy that it was over, but I felt the need to then plan for something. I felt like, okay, well, what do we do now? We're married, we're starting our lives together, and I feel like it was either, you know, you have a few options, like either you start planning for baby right away, you have other things that you can plan for in terms of career. Maybe you're planning to save for a down payment on a house. I just felt the momentum, the planning momentum for my wedding continue once the wedding was over. Okay, number 3, you might miss some of your past single behavior. Now, single behavior are those little things that you do when you're completely by yourself, when no one's there, no one's watching. Maybe they're a little weird, maybe they're a little gross, but it's funny because maybe before you got married, you didn't realize that those things were part of your routine or part of, you know, how you kind of lived your life day to day. And all of a sudden, now you're sharing your life with someone, and those weird, maybe gross single behaviors are a lot harder to either do or just trickier. Number 4 is that you may need more time away from your partner than you had anticipated, and it's not a bad thing. I think it's actually a really healthy thing, and it keeps not only your relationship really strong, but the desire to continue to share your life with this person. And again, it's not a bad thing, but you might find that you need a little bit more alone time than you previously did when you were dating, when you were sort of in that honeymoon phase. The next one, a little bit weird, might be a little subjective, but people will respond to you differently when you tell them that you're married. Now, I didn't anticipate this one at all, and it wasn't until after I was married and I would tell people, oh, you know, like, oh, I have to, you know, my husband and I are going to do this weekend, or I'm going home tonight and my husband and I are going to the movies. And it wasn't until I would say my husband that I would see a change in people and how they responded to me. And I don't know if it's because I look really young. It's the weirdest thing, and really I found that people responded to me differently. And please let me know in the comments down below if you've experienced that. So if you've gotten married, you know that pretty quickly after you've gotten married, people start asking, okay, when are you gonna have children? When are we gonna get little babies? And that, you know, understandable. However, I didn't realize, and no one told me, that after I got married, and this sort of piggybacks off of number 2 in terms of like wanting to look forward to something and wanting to plan for like other things, is that you may want to have children right after you get married, and it might be a real strong desire that you feel. And for me, before we got married, I didn't feel that sort of like intense internal desire to have children. And it was almost like immediately when we got back from our honeymoon, I started like throwing myself into some really exciting projects and exciting work projects, but it was like someone turned the light switch on inside my body, my baby light switch. It was the weirdest thing, and all of a sudden, all I wanted were babies. A lot of people sometimes totally like don't realize that after they get married, if children are something that they're looking forward to in the future, that sort of internal switch might turn on, and then you might have like no control over how you feel. And that's kind of how I felt. I kind of felt like I had no control, and that like all of a sudden that was all I wanted and all I could think about. So yeah, kind of a weird one, but thought I'd share. Number 7, things that used to, little tiny things that maybe used to not bother you are going to bother you after you get married. And this isn't to be negative, but I don't think I realized how little tiny things that either like used to be charming or used to be sincere and cute, that those things would like weirdly morph into things that make you crazy. And I think that that's why communication is so important in a relationship, regardless of whether or not you're married, just communication. But even more so after you've been married, after all that anticipation and the excitement of the wedding have gone down, it's really important to stay open and keep communicating with your partner, because those tiny little things, you know, maybe your spouse, when you guys were dating, you know, kept dishes in the sink but didn't put them in the dishwasher or didn't put them away, and you know, you were able to kind of just let that roll off your shoulder. It wasn't a big deal. All of a sudden now you're married, you know that this commitment is forever, hopefully, and now that stuff really upsets you, especially after a long day of work. And again, like those little things, those tiny little things, I didn't realize beforehand, or at least maybe my vision was clouded by like love and the excitement of the wedding. But once all that excitement is done and you're in real life, it's really easy for tiny little things to like absolutely drive you bonkers. Number 8, marriage is a lot of compromise, but people don't tell you that if you have married someone who you have a really great relationship with, who you can truly and honestly, openly communicate with, then compromise will never feel like you're losing. You'll never feel like you are kind of giving up your desires, your hopes, your dreams. It'll always feel like, okay, I'm giving a little bit, I'm taking a little bit. I'm giving a little bit, I'm taking a little bit. Number 9 is people don't tell you that living with your best friend is so amazing, especially on those nights where you're sitting around doing absolutely nothing, just hanging out on the couch watching TV. Now, a lot of people say like marriage is such an adventure, it's wonderful, and they'll sort of bring up some of the bigger moments like having children and buying your first home, but they never sort of mention those tiny sweet moments, those moments where you're kind of doing nothing on a Friday night, you order pizza, you watch a movie, maybe you go on a little date night. It's those moments I've found that make for a really amazing, loving, beautiful relationship. And I don't know, for me, it's always been the smaller moments. The small moments are the ones that, for me at least, puzzle together to make sort of that big, beautiful picture. And yeah, I know, it's a funny thing. I think everyone's little moments are so different, and maybe that's why they're never, you know, outwardly hugely celebrated, but I think that those little moments are so special and make marriage so fun. And my last thing is that married life, planning for your life together, is so fun. People tell you all the time, you know, marriage is really hard. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of this. It's a lot of that. But so seldom do people tell you on the daily that married life is so fun. It's so fun getting to like create your little home together. It's so fun looking into the future and thinking of all the things that you want to do, the places you want to travel to, the babies you want to have, the houses you want to have, the houses, I don't know, whatever your dreams are. It's really exciting. It's so exciting having someone be there who's your best friend, who's your #1 champion, and vice versa. And I feel like having that partnership is just so special. So guys, those are the 10 things that they don't tell you about married life. Be sure to leave me a comment down below and let me know if there are any other things that you'd like to add to the list, or anything that you can really relate to. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, don't forget to subscribe, give this video a big thumbs up, and I'll talk to you all really soon. Bye guys!